Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Pierce the Canvas podcast. Again, as always, I am Pierce, and we are here with another edition, September 9th, 2020, of AEW Dynamite. And, coming off the kind of crazy pay-per-view, we had a pretty good show here. First thing I kind of want to acknowledge is, Matt Hardy got pretty messed up, man. You know, as by now, considering how quick things move, is obviously old news. I was kind of fooled by it, man. Like in my all out review, I kind of mentioned like, oh, maybe it might be a work or something. Like Matt Hardy's just doing his "I cannot die" gimmick, but no, not even close. The guy was seriously hurt, and that's one of the highlights for the night tonight. We had him come out to kind of acknowledge what happened and discuss a little bit about what's going to happen in the future. Aside from that, again, great show. We had Brody Lee versus Dustin Rhodes for the TNT title. As a show overall, I think it was pretty decent. It was pretty, I'd say, just slightly above average, if not maybe just average. The show opened up immediately with Tony Schiavone. He basically says, "Okay, I'm going to be interviewing one of the people from the big matches at All Out," and so MJF and Chris Jericho both show up, and Chris Jericho just starts putting over MJF. He's like, "Yeah, one day you're gonna be world champ, man. You may have come up short at All Out, but you don't worry. You just hang on tight. You're gonna win that title one day." MJF says that Jericho losing to Orange Cassidy twice was criminal, and that one day he will again be champion. So I guess they were kind of just showing MJF and Jericho, the two top heels, getting along. And then they're about to handshake, but then they decide, nah, let's just do the elbow bump, because that's the new contemporary custom, I guess. The camera, after that, you see like a side-by-side with both Chris Jericho and MJF. And they just both start talking smack about each other. Or actually, it might have just been MJF. He was like, what a, I don't know, dumbass or jackass or whatever he said. So who knows? Maybe there's going to be a Chris Jericho MJF program coming up. After that, we immediately got into the first match, Jurassic Express versus the Lucha Bros. Lucha Bros are now 2-0 with Eddie Kingston alongside. So Eddie Kingston, so far so good. He's been doing favors for Lucha Bros. One thing that I noticed actually kind of right off the bat is that Penta L0M, one of his eyes in his mask was blocked off, like the same as Rey Mysterio has. I don't know. I was just a little bit curious. I was like, did Rey Mysterio really re-sign that WWE contract? Does he have to show up here? I was like, I don't know. I guess maybe, who knows? Maybe it has nothing to do with anything. I'm just reading into things. I think it might be a little bit of a tribute. Jungle Boy took a big kick from the outside from Rey after attempting a dive. Luchasaurus eventually gets a hot tag and lands a huge choke slam on Rey Fenix. Massive. This kid went up. He's probably not a kid, but went up like 10 feet, man. You already know Luchasaurus. He's probably like 6'8", 6'10", or whatever. And he lifts him up way over his head and slams Rey Fenix down. That was a big spot. Lucha Bros do a foot stomp pile driver on Jungle Boy for a near fall. Jungle Boy lands a destroyer on Penta, rolls up Rey Fenix for the win. After the match, Rey and Penta are getting in each other's faces. They're clearly not getting along. I think even a couple times during the match, they were kind of showing a little bit of heat towards each other. Butcher and Blade are holding them back, and Eddie Kingston ain't happy, man. He's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And he's like, "I'm here for you guys. What happened at the Battle Royal?" I have to do an Eddie Kingston impression, I guess. Says that, we should be running this place. Gotta get along, and he's getting them to shake hands. Penta and Rey, you gotta shake hands. This went on a little too long. It got a little bit awkward eventually. They're just refusing to shake each other's hands. They're just walking around the ring all mad at each other. Eventually, Eddie Kingston talks them into shaking hands, and they hug, and everything is cool again. And then Eddie Kingston leaves one last message. He's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, don't think I forgot. I never got eliminated in the Battle Royal." I don't know if anybody heard, but that's actually true. He never got thrown over the top rope. He may have fallen to the floor, but he was never thrown over the top rope. And it's just like, I don't know if I'm cool with this just sliding. Like, do something for the guy. Give him a match against Lance Archer or something, like a number one contenders match. He shouldn't get nothing. It's actually extremely unreasonable if nothing happens here. I'd say it's really dumb if AEW just glosses over that. Because he said, like, I never got eliminated from the Battle Royal, and then he just left, and that's the last we saw of him or anything to do with that. I don't know if it'd be cool to just gloss over that. Like I said, they should really go back and acknowledge that. I don't think they're going to, frankly. Um, Next up, speaking of which, we see Jake Roberts with Lance Archer, and they're like in an alleyway with like graffiti everywhere, and they're saying basically like, we're gonna get Moxley to piss himself when we get our hands on him. And Lance says that Moxley's been champion for way too long, and the Murdoch monster will become champion, and there ain't nothing anybody could do about it. And then came the first commercial break, and funny enough, on TNT, the first commercial was a John Cena commercial. Well, it was a hefty, I don't know what even hefty is, but it was a hefty commercial starring John Cena. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, right as Dynamite goes to commercial, that was the first one, because I don't watch commercials. Like, once the commercials are on, I'm busy taking notes. There's also an NBA game on, the Raptors versus Celtics game 6. Woo for the Raptors. We won. I don't want to I don't want to divert too much. I'm not gonna lie though. Like a couple times during the show tonight, my attention was diverted to the NBA game. I don't know. Maybe I missed a couple things. I'm super over the moon that we won. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. I thought it was really funny. John Cena was like in the very first commercial during Dynamite. Um, Next up, Matt Hardy comes out to, as I said earlier, acknowledge sort of what happened on Saturday and, what's going to be going on with this future, what we could expect. And there wasn't anything too big. Like, he didn't announce his retirement or anything like that. He just, he thanked the fans, in the arena, says that they're the magic of the show, looks into the camera and thanks us for watching at home. He says it all out. He suffered a scary fall and that the outpouring of love has been overwhelming. He's happy to tell us that he'll be making a 100% full recovery. He's the luckiest man alive. And then the camera cuts to Rebby and Matt and Rebby's newborn child. And his other kids are still at home. He looks into the camera and says hi to his kids at home. He apologizes to his family and his fans for putting us and his family through such worry, from that big bump or that big accident, frankly, that we saw. Matt says that the Broken Rules match wasn't what he wanted it to be. He says he's gonna be getting, he's gonna go back to getting healthy, and he's gonna chase his first AEW championship when he's cleared. So that's pretty exciting. He closes by saying his wrestling journey is not over, and thanks the fans one more time. So that's really exciting. As I was a little scared that he was gonna announce his retirement or something. Thankfully he didn't. He said he's just gonna be taking a break, try to recover, stay at home with his family for a little while. So best to Matt Hardy. Glad to see he's doing okay. Next up we have another match, Orange Cassidy versus Angelico with Jack Evans. Angelico gets the first shot after a distraction from Jack Evans. Cassidy makes his comeback with his diving crossbody and DDT spot, connects his orange punch for the win. I'm just kind of just reading my notes. I'm like, oh, wait, that's it? That was it. That was the entire match. Centeno and Ortiz attack Orange Cassidy from behind with the steel thing. I don't know what it was. And he had the sock with the balls in it, and they're beating down on Orange Cassidy. Best friends come out for the save. Chuck Taylor says that next week Centeno and Ortiz should meet best friends in the parking lot. Trent says he's going to make his mama proud by taking him out. And I'm not talking about for a date. I'm kind of hoping this doesn't just relegate Orange Cassidy back to the tag team scene. And honestly, I don't even know if he's in this match. They never announced whether or not Orange Cassidy will be in this match. So I don't know whether it's just going to be Trent and Chuck against Santana and Ortiz, or if it'll be Orange Cassidy and best friends. Maybe they'll throw in Sammy Guevara for Santana and Ortiz or something. So we'll see what happens. I think they said next week, which, by the way, next week's show is on Thursday. I think I mentioned this the other times that they're moving times. They just didn't, in my honest opinion, they don't announce it enough. If it were me, I would be announcing it over and over and over again. Make sure you tune in Thursday. We're not going to be live on Wednesday. I swear it was only one time during the commercial break that they announced it. They didn't even announce it like in the middle of the show, just during the commercial break. That's all I remember. Maybe they announced it another time while I was distracted by the Raptors game, but yeah. I hope the ratings don't drop because of that. But yeah, it is going to be next Thursday, the next episode of Dynamite. Next up, we see Alex Marvez trying to get a hold of the Young Bucks. They're in their locker room. He's knocking on the door, knocking. Oh, I just can't get a hold of the Young Bucks. Finally, they open up the door. Boom! Double super kick to Alex Marvez. The poor guy gets his head taken off. That was crazy. Next up, a big segment. Big segment. Kip Sabian, as he announced on Saturday at All Out, he's going to reveal not only his best man, but the best man for his upcoming wedding with Penelope Ford. And so Kip is in the ring with Tony Schiavone, who's interviewing him about who's this best man going to be. He just kicks him out of the ring. He's like, get out of the ring. Don't worry about it. I'm going to handle it from here. He's like, okay, so everybody's been wondering, here's the best man. And out comes this really big dude, this huge man. And Kip goes up. He's like, "Wait a second, what are you doing here, man? You're not the guy." And he's like, "Well, you called me the best the other day." And he's like, "Yeah, I called you the best for subscribing to my twitch.tv/KipSabian or whatever he said." So apparently this was just a Twitch subscriber who Kip Sabian inadvertently called the best. But he's like, "I didn't mean to confuse you. You're not the best man." So he gets back in the ring. He's like, "Sorry about that, everybody. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. The best man." And out comes Brian Pillman Jr. And apparently he's not the best man either. And Kip's like, "We're not even friends, buddy." I guess he said there's like a text message he sent that contained, I don't know, for whatever reason he called Brian Pillman Jr. the best, man. And he's like, "That didn't mean you're the best man." And then and one more time, so he leaves. Kip's back in the ring. Okay, this time, the best man. And theme music comes on this time, so now we know it's going to be the actual best man. And it took a while for us to find out who it was. Like the Titantron came up, where the theme song is basically going like, the best man, or whatever the hell. And so a camera is showing the back of this person, and I'm like, oh, I still don't know who it is. I thought it was like Luther for a second, and the camera turns around. It's Miro, aka Rusev. So yeah, we'll just cut out the Rusev immediately. Miro is here. He's in AEW. He's all elite. Really exciting stuff. And the first thing I thought is they're just putting this guy right back in another wedding angle. Like, okay. The fans, I believe, were chanting Miro Day, so they're at least being respectful enough to not call him Rusev. Yeah, they're chanting Miro Day, and he was like, "Oh, I like the sound of that," or whatever. He says he was in the same house for 10 years under the same glass ceiling. He says that, he didn't say WWE, but he essentially said WWE can shove their brass ring up their ass. He said everything but WWE. Miro says Elite recognizes Elite and that he's the best or something like that. Miro says he's the best on Twitch, and you see Kip is just there like, I don't know about that. And he introduces himself as Miro and declares himself All Elite. Next up, we see Tony Schiavone with Hangman Page. Hangman says he's doing okay, Tony Schiavone's not having it, man. He's like, "Listen, don't give me this PR or whatever. Tell me how you really feel." And he says he feels like the fans knew that he and Kenny were going to lose the titles. Like, it was kind of inevitable. Hangman blames himself for losing the titles. He's regretful for all those weeks ago screwing his best friends. He says he feels like he's full of poison. Tony asks him about Kenny and how it looked like, at one point Kenny was going to beat down Hangman Page. He's like, "Don't worry about any of that. We're going to get through this tough time and we'll make it back up the ranks. Try to get another rematch for the championship." So, kind of a optimistic vibe we're getting from Hangman Page. So we'll see sort of what happens. Another match, we got Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss. Jericho killed off Janela last week. Kiss also had eliminated Jake Hager in the Battle Royal, so that kind of explains the small story behind this match. Kiss and Janela both drop missile drop kicks on Jericho and Hager. That was a great looking spot. And then Janela got a chair and starts wailing Jericho with it. I didn't know at all this was no DQ. I was like, wait, what is this, New Japan or something? um, Janela's attempting a corner attack. He lays down the chair, like stands it up. He tries to run off it, kind of like Hikaru Shida does. But Jericho reverses it and slams him onto the chair. The chair is wedged in the corner. Janela throws Jericho head first into it. Sonny Kiss is attempting a top rope move. Hager pulls him down by the leg. So basically, Sonny Kiss is on the top rope. He's about to do a dive. Jake Hager goes, pulls him by the leg, and he just lands in the splits. That was kind of hilarious. Gets up, kicks him in the face. Hager tries to dive onto Kiss with a garbage can later on. Kiss reverses it, just bangs him with the garbage can as he dives onto him. Jericho and Janela fighting on the stage. Jericho catapults Janela into Hager's arms, and Hager just throws Janela through a table next to the stage. Kiss takes out Hager and Jericho, corners them, lands big kicks, gets up on the top rope, but Jericho sprays down Kiss with the fire extinguisher, and Hager lands his big hurt finisher, or whatever it's called, for the win. Jericho cuts a promo, says that him getting thrown into the mimosa is the past. Let's all forget about that. He says he wants to make it up the ranks alongside Hager to win the AEW Tag Team titles. And I'm kind of just realizing this now. I was thinking they were just going to start building up this Jericho MJF feud that was slightly teased at the beginning of the show, but I guess not. I guess we're just going to be seeing, him and Hager going up the tag team ranks, which, okay. We'll see how that goes. That'd be interesting, I guess. I mean, Jericho makes everything he does interesting, man. Let's face it. So MJF cuts back to his campaign room again. First thing I thought is, oh, this is still going on. But he says Moxley cheated by using his paradigm shift finish it all out. And he basically blames the whole thing on his campaign crew. He's like, you're all fired! And he says the campaign is over. And then the Mila, the blonde woman who he keeps telling to smile, he like starts yelling like brutally in this poor woman's face. Get your stained teeth, and I think he said your bullshit face out of here. You're also fired. MJF says that Wardlow cost him the world title as he couldn't throw the diamond ring into the ring properly. Calls him illiterate. Wardlow is not happy with MJF. He's getting in his face. He's getting hot. MJF takes a second to remind this guy that, Tony Khan ain't the one signing your checks. I am. So you better get your shit together. And he's like, do we still have a problem, Wardlow? Wardlow's like, no. So I guess in storyline, Wardlow is just simply a mercenary. That's all he is. He's not even signed by the company in storyline. Moxley cuts his short promo, and he's basically just saying he's not too happy to face Lance Archer. Says the challengers just keep getting tougher and tougher. He says, you know what, though? You guys look at Lance Archer and you guys see a monster. I just see a man. And you best not bet against me. That was essentially the core of his promo. There wasn't a whole lot more to that. Afterwards, we have FTR out for their championship celebration. Tully's just putting them over, says they're the best tag team champions in the world. Says that we need to fear the revelation. Tully says FTR won in 117-degree heat for 30 minutes. Says that Kenny and Hangman worked hard, but at the 31st minute, it was Dax and Cash, 1, 2, 3. Cash says that AEW has the best tag team division in the world. He kind of puts over SCU a little bit, but says, you guys aren't even in your prime anymore. Maybe if you were in your prime, we wouldn't have won our titles. So he kind of puts them over and buries them at the same time. FTR just straight up buries Private Party. They're like, yeah, and also Private Party. Well, you're just Private Party, essentially, is just what they said. FTR declares himself the locker room leaders. Dax tells Billy and Austin Gunn that they aren't ever going to get a title shot. I don't know why he's addressing them with all those tag teams. There's like Lucha Bros, even Butcher and Blade, all the best tag teams. And he goes to Billy and Austin Gunn. FTR says that Jurassic Express have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get a shot at them next week, but it ain't giving them a title shot. Says that Comedy Act is not going to run the AEW Tag Team division. Jurassic Express take offense to this. They get in the ring, they get hot. Cash is still just making fun of them. Luchasaurus is preparing a chokeslam on both guys at the same time. They escape from the ring. And kind of for the last spot of the segment, Marco Stunt dumps a box of ice. Because, it was a celebration segment. So they had cake, they had coolers with beers and all the good stuff. Marco Stunt dumped the icebox on FTR. Everyone just gets in the ring for a piece of cake. like I actually got the vibe everyone really wanted cake because everybody got in the ring. They're like, "Oh, I need some cake." Everybody has a piece of cake and they're all happy. That was a cool segment. I enjoyed that. FTR took off. Next up, Taz joined the announce team. He's talking about his boys. Unfortunately, they got eliminated from the All Out Battle Royal, Casino Battle Royal. Ricky Starks comes out again, doing what he did weeks ago, dressed up as Darby Allin. He's playing as Darby Allin for like a second. He's like, "Oh, I'm injured, and unfortunately, I can't go skateboarding with my friends anymore." And then he turns into actually like Ricky, but he still has a makeup on. He says, "There's a reason why Darby's a loner. It's because he's reckless." And Ricky ends his promo by saying he'll relentlessly beat Darby Allin's ass. So that story continues. We're gonna see Darby Allin and Ricky Starks go at it eventually. That'll be exciting. Next up, we have Tay Conti versus Nyla Rose alongside Vicky Guerrero. Tay Conti is, I think, the latest signing for AEW. Congratulations to her. Well, maybe besides Miro. Maybe he's the latest. But Tay came down to the ring. She was a little emotional. I think she's over the moon about having been signed. Absolute congratulations to her. I watched her work since she was in NXT. She's extremely athletic. I'm sure she's going to be great on the women's division. AEW needs it. I'm not going to beat around the bush. So yeah, great for her. I'm really happy she got signed. The match starts off with Tay showing off her agility, dodging Nyla. Nyla's going for all these attacks. She's just agile, like ducking between her legs, going all over the place. She gets her in a knee bar. Nyla eventually escapes. And then before commercial, Vicky, I was just talking about Ricky Stark. Vicky did something to Tay. I don't know what it was. It wasn't like a shove or anything. She like grabbed her face. I don't know what she even did. But then went to commercial. During the match, the announcers announced that Young Bucks are being fined $5,000 each for the assault on Alex Marvez. After that, we see Tay lock an armbar on Nyla, and she does the good old, power bomb reversal from an armbar to a power bomb for the win. It wasn't just any power bomb though; it was the Beast Bomb, her finisher, Nyla Rose's finisher. And then, excuse me, we start hearing that. I don't like it. I don't want it on my AEW television. But that's what we're getting. She's just yelling out excuse me's and says that she and Nyla are making a statement, not going anywhere. And then they go for another Beast Bomb onto Tay. Sheeta comes out for the save with her kendo stick. And Nyla and Vicky retreat. Jim Ross is interviewing Kenny Omega, so it's basically the same kind of segment that Tony did with Hangman, except now it's Jim Ross with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega, Jim Ross asks him, like, how do you feel after Saturday? Kenny says, well, I was a champion, now I'm not. Like, what do you want me to do, man? It's just part of the game. He says he wanted to be, at first, when AEW started, he wanted to be the inaugural champion. He had no direction until he met Adam Page. Says they had to dig deep to become a great tag team, but he doesn't know if he wants to keep being partners with the Hangman. And says that it's time. He basically just said it. I don't even think he said like maybe. He was like, it's time I go back to singles action. So completely different from what Hangman was saying. He was like, we're going to try to make it up the ranks. We'll do the best we can from here. Unfortunately, Kenny doesn't seem to have the same ambition. So we'll see. Only time will tell what the future brings for Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega. And next up, we have the main event of the evening. Dustin Rhodes versus Brody Lee alongside John Silver. I don't know why only John Silver. He could have brought the whole entire Dark Order out there, but it was just John Silver. For the TNT title. Mid-announcement, you know how for the championship matches, they do the announcements in the ring when everybody's in there. Mid-announcement, Dustin attacks Brody Lee and they start fighting ringside. Dustin went for a top rope hurricanrana at one point, and then right into a Canadian Destroyer. Landed the Crossroads after that. So those are three big spots: a top rope hurricanrana, Canadian Destroyer, and a Crossroads for a near fall. Brody Lee lands a powerbomb for a near fall as well. At one point, John Silver is distracting the referee. Dustin Rhodes low blows Brody Lee while Silver is distracting the referee. Silver decides to jump in, but Rhodes takes him out. Dustin lands a pile driver on Brody Lee for a near fall again. Lee and Rhodes are exchanging strikes. Rhodes actually overwhelms the strike exchange with a big clothesline, almost like the discus lariat that Lee himself does for another near fall. They begin exchanging strikes again later in the match. Lee lands his discus lariat for the win. So yeah, unfortunately, Dustin Rhodes couldn't get the job done. Dark Order all come out to celebrate Brody Lee's win. They have QT Marshall in hand, who's completely dead. God knows what they did to that guy. They dump him in the ring. Colt Cabana also decided to come out, to join Dark Order for the celebration. Brody Lee immediately kicked him out. They're like, no, not you, buddy. I guess because he caused their loss at All Out, so they're still pissed off at him. Who knows? Maybe that's going to lead to a program. We'll eventually see Colt Cabana versus Brody Lee. Maybe Colt will take the television title. Who knows? Or TNT title. Same thing. Dark Order is still celebrating in the ring. They just pick up Dustin Rhodes and they just sack him. They just kick him in the nuts. And that pretty much ended the show. And earlier, I think it was at the beginning of the match, we got an announcement that Cody Rhodes is going to break news. There's a big announcement. These guys, the nerve these guys have, man. So basically it's Cody, you see him in like a lit up room or whatever, and he's like, yeah, I'm injured, I should just be on the sidelines or whatever, but we have a big thing coming up, and all these bright lights open up, and I'm like, oh my god, it's AEW's new show, yo, they're gonna announce it, and they show this shot of like a stage, and it's essentially a drive-in setup. There's like dozens of cars at a drive-in, and I'm like, oh, I'm still thinking, oh my god, so AEW is doing like an outdoor show where fans will drive in. No, I barely even want to cover it. I don't give a shit. It's some stupid game show that Bert Kreischer, comedian, is going to be hosting. It's gonna feature stars like Rosario Dawson. I don't even care, man. I know Snoop Dogg is gonna be like a judge or something like that. It's called Go Big Show, the Go Big Show, Big Show. I can't not think about Big Show. Yeah, that was the big announcement. I was like pretty much mad. I was like, why are you wasting my time with this stupid announcement? But the reason why they announced is because I think he's one of the contestants in the show. So there was that, and yeah, like I said, that was AEW Dynamite. A good show. I believe next week, let's go ahead and take a look at next week's card. So AEW Dynamite for, again, September 17th. I'm going to be doing their job, by telling you about when their next show is, because they only told us like one time. Let's take a look and see if we can find what's going to be going on there. I don't even know. They announced it, but I didn't pay attention. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, and it's kind of says something about them as well, I guess. I'm not finding anything here. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. We'll find out. We'll find out what happens next week on Dynamite. Again, we'll be back on Thursday for another stream. This has been Pierce with Pierce the Canvas podcast. Tune in again next Thursday. We'll be back. Thanks, guys.